Thanks for tuning in to You Are the Magic Pill. Do you often wish that you could just pop a magic pill that would change your life instantly, giving you everything that your heart desires? The truth is, you don't need one, because get this, you are the magic pill. I'm your host, Victoria, and during this podcast, I will be giving you a dose of my truth by keeping it real with inspiring stories and wisdom. My mission is to show you how to fall in love with yourself so that you can discover your own truth. If you are ready to realize that you are the magic pill, then come on a heroic journey with me to remember who you truly are, to activate that power found within. Hi, and welcome back to You Are the Magic Pill. Today, I have a very special guest on with me to have a conversation about relationships. His name is Daniel Herrold, and he is a divorced dad of 3 daughters who lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is the co-creator of Divorced Over 40, an online community of divorced men and women in their 40s and 50s, which provides content and community to this audience. Daniel is very inspirational, and I just love his insight on what it's like to be divorced over 40 and being single again. So we're going to have a little chat about all of this. And so thank you for tuning in with us, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good. I'm so excited to have you on the show. We connected before, which is kind of a funny story. Do you want me to, are you okay with me sharing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Daniel and I actually connected through Bumble, and it's been a while. I actually don't even remember exactly when that was. Do you remember?
I think it was probably at least last year, if not, I come down to Dallas a lot for work. So it was either, probably 12 to 18 months ago. So quite a while ago.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. We didn't ever actually meet, but we stayed connected on Instagram. And then I really loved watching you. You kind of started to post more, and I felt like you were really changing along that last year a lot. And obviously before that, but it really seemed like last year. And I did that as well. And you co-created Divorced Over 40. And so I thought that was really cool. So I wanted to see if you wanted to share a little bit about how that came into reality.
I would like to think that I've changed a lot since my divorce. And I think that, and I speak to that not only through the Divorced Over 40 community, but also on my personal Instagram about what I believe is a need for all of us to really self-reflect, as well as kind of go through this self-discovery or this rediscovery process, as we kind of call it. And, I think COVID, well, let me back up. I think navigating dating outside of my divorce helped me tremendously discover my confidence, helped me discover what I think I wanted in a relationship and what I didn't want. So it helped me kind of figure that out, but it also helped me figure out who I was, and really I was able to really reflect on the types of things that I wanted to do in this next chapter of my life. And so COVID certainly helped that, because as you know, and in many places around the US and the world, kind of put a damper or shut down the opportunity to date. And so I think during, March, April, May, June of 2020, it gave me a time to kind of be on the sidelines and think about, okay, where am I in this journey? What do I want? And I was able to do a lot of self-reflection. And I kind of came to the conclusion during that process that I really need to focus on cultivating friendships and less on dating. And so I really kind of pivoted and focused on really trying to cultivate friendships. And through that process, it birthed this community, because I saw as I went through it, and as I started to develop friendships with divorced men and women in the same age category, in their 40s and 50s and even 60s for that matter, is that we all were yearning for connections. And it wasn't always a romantic connection. We wanted friends. And so it kind of, the light bulb went off in my obtuse brain of mine as well as this close-knit group of friends that I had cultivated during that process that, hey, we're onto something. This could be something that we could create a much larger community to really cater towards this demographic. And that's how we birthed it.
That's really awesome. I think that's incredible. And it's going really well for you. And so that's a beautiful thing because you followed your heart and you followed that guidance to start it and to put yourself out there to bring in others, to connect them and to the people that are having the same experiences. So I really think that that's a beautiful thing that y'all are doing.
Well, thank you, first of all. And I think that we're now, I guess this summer will be, or late summer will be our 1-year anniversary. And we've grown so crazy and we've just discovered not only how this has benefited divorcees, cultivating friendships, finding your tribe. I mean, these are themes that we hear each and every day, but also just it's really helped in navigating someone through their divorce journey, whether they're in the middle of it or they're coming out of it from a healing standpoint. And, I think that a lot of us when we get divorced, we feel like we're on an island and the circumstances that we're experiencing are unlike any others. And some of them are very toxic and painful, and sometimes some kind of breeze through it. But nonetheless, when you hear stories of other people that have gone through the same situations as you did, it's kind of like that aha moment where it's very therapeutic for people. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that someone else in this world went through the exact same emotions and feelings and circumstances that I did. And it creates connectivity. It helps validate how people felt. And it really has been a great source of therapy for people.
Yeah, that is really good because sometimes you do think that you're the only one going through that heartbreak or the toxicity or, whatever it is in that relationship, and just having the death of the relationship, even though it's time to move on, that's still a big deal. And, to be able to talk to other people and to be able to connect and relate and to go through that and to realize that that's just the part of the process is really helpful. I think that, it's definitely a good idea to have that support group. Yeah, so I think that's really awesome that you're doing that. I was reading one of your posts the other day about the steps to dating. I kind of like that, the benefits of being single. So there's 2 different posts that I liked. And I don't know if obviously you wrote it, but the steps to dating, like what you should kind of look for. And then also the benefits of being single. I think that would be fun to touch on those topics.
Yeah, it's probably the most frequently topic of discussion for men and women that have been divorced and they're in their 40s and 50s and 60s for that matter, in that a lot of us had been married for a long period of time, 10, 15, 20 years. We haven't dated during that time, and it's a whole new game. As it's an animal, and there's a lot more negativity than there is positivity, and people get really easily disenfranchised with dating. And I've just found my personal dating experience has been great. And I think that, and so what I've tried to do is at least kind of pass along whatever wisdom I can when it comes to dating on how to approach it and make it something that's a little bit more positive and fulfilling than, just all the negative stuff that you keep hearing about and how people get, easily triggered by behaviors of people that they're talking to.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And I like what you wrote, like on step 1, I was looking at it, you wrote to take the pressure off, stop looking at every day as the one. And I think that is a really good tip. And I think that the more experiences that you have on dating, then you finally get to that point where you realize to not look at everyone as the one. And that does make it a little bit more fun and to let go of that outcome, and just to embrace those moments.
I think that if everyone went into every dating experience as an opportunity to create or find a friend or make a new friend, as opposed to, is this person going to check all the boxes of someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with, it would make your life so much easier and probably the dating experience that much more pleasant. And I figured that out really early in the process. I went through a couple of relationships where I went exclusive with someone real early out of my divorce. One was for 90 days. The other one was for about 30 to 60 days. They weren't that long, but they kind of both crashed and burned. And I realized after coming out of both of those, I was like, what am I doing? I'm not in any condition coming out of my divorce to be in a committed relationship. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to the other person. And so I really kind of completely changed my stance and said, I still want to date. I still want to enjoy that experience of connecting with people and the flirting and the banter that comes back with it. I mean, that's so fun, but I need to approach it from a standpoint that I'm not looking for my one. I'm just looking for connection. And as long as I'm open and explicit with someone that I'm talking to, that's what my intentions are, and let them choose whether that or not they want to participate in that, then I think that's okay. And, just taking that pressure off of myself to say, okay, I got to find my next girlfriend, or I got to find my next boyfriend, if you're of the opposite sex, and really looking at it from, I just want to have fun. I want to connect with people. I want to be stimulated from an intelligence standpoint, have good conversations and so forth. I think that it'll make your dating experience a lot more positive.
I think so too. I was always the one that went on the dates like, oh, this is the one. I used to sing that Miley Cyrus song, he could be the one.
Right.
Like I would actually sing that, and I would like think that, and I would send that to my girlfriends, and that they were like, oh God. But yeah, I mean, I was wrapped up in that. And I think, what you touched on earlier about COVID, what happened to me is that exactly what you said. I had that pause, and it gave me that time to reflect and go within and stop looking for someone on the outward to complete me. And that was the most magical experience. I just rode my bike. I just did all kinds of things for myself. And I got to know who I am and what I desire. And then now I just recently got back into the dating scene. And it's a different approach. Like what you said, it's like when you find yourself and you know who you are, then you can show up in the dating community in a lot better, healthier place. So that's where I'm at. So I totally can relate with that.
I think that if you have that confident stance of, I'm single, I'm enjoying my life, I'm happy, people see that, it becomes a more attractive quality. So I think you attract people more so than someone that's always in pursuit versus, someone that's content. And also it enables you to be just really picky because look, I'm really comfortable if I happen to find someone that's going to be like icing on the cake for me. And as a result, I'm really protective of my time, and I'm not going to put up with the bullshit, excuse my French, of, people that I don't find interesting or going to waste my time. And so your filter, I think, becomes very tighter, even though you're more open to having a date just to get to meet someone. I think you still, at the same time, tighten your filter a bit to say, I'm protective of my time. And if someone isn't aligned with me, I don't want to waste my time on that person. And so I think there's a lot of benefits from taking that stance in dating.
I agree. I mean, I am so much different this time around. Like I would just go out with anyone that thought I was pretty.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. And
well, I think that's naturally everybody, because you get drawn in by, the compliments, especially if it's someone that's attractive that you match with. You're like, oh gosh, this guy or girl seems to have it all together. Look at her pictures, their bios, great. And, and so you get drawn in and want to pursue it because, you see the visible, the physical attributes of someone, and maybe the banter is good, but a lot of times you're not reading between the lines and listening to the cues of, what their intent is or what they're looking for or what they're not looking for. And I think that, to your point, your shift changes then, if you start to say, look, this isn't my end game, all game, I'm just looking for good connections. And so I want to be real picky on the connections that I choose to make.
Yeah. And it definitely makes it more fun and less negative. Like you said, makes it more positive because you are just meeting new people, and it is really fun to just experience that and to learn some things and even like network and connect with people. Even if you're not intentionally doing that, it kind of just ends up happening if you don't have that connection, like as a, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing. But I just love it so much. I mean, I just recently started doing this again. And I just think it's amazing to be able to, now I understand what settling means, not settling. But I have to say, at the time that I was having all of these experiences, if I didn't have all of these other experiences from dating, then I wouldn't have finally decided to go within and discover myself to now be on this part, because I do believe that no matter what the relationship it is, it does help you become aware of things that you may not know about yourself, but to help you grow, even if they're toxic, it still, helps you grow to see who you truly are.
I think you made a really key point that dating enabled you to discover yourself. And I think that part of the healing and self-discovery process, if you've come out of a trauma like a divorce, dating needs to be an element of that. It's just going into with the right mindset while you're dating. Hey, I'm trying to figure myself out. And so I need to be protective of, falling for someone while I'm figuring this out. And I always use the analogy that if I was gone through the self-discovery process and I started dating someone seriously, let's say here in Tulsa where I live, and as part of that kind of self-discovery, I realized, well, I want to move. I don't want to live here.
Right.
Well, that person may or may not be aligned with what my next chapter looks like. So that's why I think you got to go through, before you get into a committed relationship, figure out what your next chapter, what your goals and dreams are, what you'd like to achieve in this next phase of your life. And that doesn't mean over the next 20 years, because, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. But, at least in the short term, these are kind of the things that I'd like to do. And then you can see if that partner that you find aligns with what you want to do. It's okay to be a little bit selfish, and make sure that someone else that you're courting or dating kind of fits your goals and dreams. And if you do it the other way around, you're just going to end up kind of crashing and burning a lot of times.
Yeah, I think you're going to repeat.
Right.
I think that's definitely true. And so I know that for sure for myself. Now I'm like, okay, I used to didn't have a list, and it's not like it's, I have to have all these things, but there are a few things that I know are kind of necessary, because I truly believe that, for me anyway, that I would like to have certain things be in alignment so we don't have a toxic relationship. So we are communicating and speaking the same language, because we're on the same level in life and we're on the same frequency. So I just think that that's super important. So I think that that's where I'm a little bit more picky, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, because I want to make sure that I do get in a relationship, when I choose to get in a relationship, that it's someone that is in alignment. And that's because I know who I am now.
I think that's a great point. There's probably, you might call it, another way to call it is non-negotiables, right? And here are the 4 or 5 things that are absolute non-negotiables. It could be what your faith is and whether or not that aligns with someone. It could be stage of life. As an example, when I first started dating out of my divorce, I was dating a lot of younger women, and many of which had never had kids. And I learned pretty quickly, I don't want kids. My youngest graduates in a year, from high school. And, I don't want to raise kids for another 20 years. And so that became a non-negotiable for me in that I don't need to be dating women that are looking to have kids. And so,
right.
I think at the same token, you got to be careful on whether or not those non-negotiables start to become just a little bit I don't want to say petty is the word, but I think it's okay. And I think it's a great idea to expand your horizons. Don't try to fit everybody into the same little box that is like the perfect partner for you. And, date people that are of different cultures, that are diverse, maybe have different political views or other views than you, or maybe even a little bit different stage of life, because it just allows you to kind of experience and think through things that you might have never thought before as far as what you want. And, I've done a lot of that in my dating life and have just found that to be really exciting and fun to foster these friendships of people that aren't at all like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd encourage people to do that. At the same time, still have your core beliefs or core non-negotiables that you hold and stand firm with.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too, because you don't want to be, I mean, people can be however they want to be. But for me, I agree with you. It's like I have these definite non-negotiables, but I'm still open, if something were to come along that it was a little off and it felt right. I didn't have that feeling of like I was pushing it, but I had a peace about it and it felt like it was in alignment, even though there was maybe one or however many things off from what I originally thought, because we're always growing and changing, right? So maybe I'll change my mind,
Yeah, and a great example of that is height for men. That's such a big deal for women.
Right.
But I was talking to one of my best friends who is a female, and I said, okay, what if you met the unicorn, the guy that fit everything that you wanted in life, but he was 5'9"? Are you really telling me that you're going to walk away from the perfect man that you found that took you 10 years to find because he's shorter than you when you wear heels, And so, and there's a lot of women that would still say, yep, I would walk away. But I think that's a great example of, okay, should that really be in that non-negotiable category, or should that be in the kind of well, I really would prefer that. I think that you got to be careful in terms of what bucket you put things in.
I agree. And it's funny that you said that, because my friend just said that to me the other day, because I'm kind of tall for a girl. I'm almost 5'8". And so I can relate with your friend, but she's also tall. My other friend that mentioned this, but she was giving me that same little lecture. And, a few days ago, I said, yeah, it matters to me. But now, honestly, I'm discovering that maybe I like a guy that's like 5'10",
Yeah, put that on your wish list, but don't preclude an opportunity to meet someone that you think is very special just because they're short, or don't meet your height requirement, or don't meet your weight or fitness requirement. You just have to think about the things that are more wish lists. Man, I wish I had this, this, and this, versus, well, they absolutely have to have this attribute or that attribute.
I like that. I mean, it's like being open, but also knowing what you want, but going into it with that awareness that, things change, that you can just be in it for the fun of it and let go of the outcome and just go for the experience. And maybe it's going to show you something more about yourself that you need to integrate and learn and become even more whole and fall in love with yourself even more just because you met that one person.
Yeah, you got it. You're right.
Yeah, so I'm excited, and I think that all these are great tips, and I'm thrilled with your success with the Divorced Over 40 community, and I'm very thankful that you joined me today. And so I would like for you to share, if you could, with my listeners where they can connect with you, because I think that you have a lot of good information on your Instagram and other places that would be very helpful for people that are in the dating world, and in relationships.
I would love to. So really where we drive all of our content, and when I say content, I think what's unique about what we do is we try to provide everyday stories of people that have navigated a divorce and kind of come out on the other side in a positive way. So and a lot of that includes the co-creators, myself and Amy and Julie. We blog quite a bit, providing different perspectives, but we also bring everyday people into the fray to provide their stories, which people love. And on Instagram, we feature that virtually every day, but we also blend in some experts, some people that are licensed therapists. We have a couple of divorce coaches. We have a sex therapist, we have an attorney, and we try to provide, some level of expertise to the table as well. So I'd encourage everyone to start there at Instagram, and it's Divorced Over 40, and 40 is 40. So at Divorced Over 40 is where you can find us. We also have a website, which is divorcedover40.com, and that's with 40 as well. And that just kind of duplicates a lot of the content that we have on Instagram. And on Facebook is where we're seeing the engagement. So we have a lot of discussion groups where people, like, for example, we've got a women's group, and the women, it's women's only. And the women will go in there and they'll discuss dating, they'll discuss navigating a divorce. There's a lot of support in the group and so forth. And so we've got tons of different discussion groups based on geography, or whether you're male or female, or, you know, whatever. And that's a place where you can really engage with like-minded people. And so I'd encourage you, and you can find that on our website, how to get to our Facebook group.
That one sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's great. We have over 1,000 people in like 2 or 3 of the different groups. And, you know, I'm not a big active Facebook guy personally, but I'll wander over there, and it's incredible the amount of content that people are sharing and pouring their hearts out. And we've just created a safe space for people. And I think, you know, when you take dating out of the focus and really focus on cultivating connections through friendships, I think people kind of let their guard down and they're willing to open up and share more and be vulnerable. And that's kind of the space that we've created.
Yeah, that's perfect, because that's what I love to talk about on my show too, is just, you know, being vulnerable, being real, being authentic. And so that's incredible, because then you could, you know, create and cultivate these friendships that could end up leading to something else, because you're really yourself and you're interacting with other people that are themselves. And then you find that true connection.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm so glad that we met on Bumble, and now we're doing these wonderful
Now
things.
We're friends, right?
I know, right? There you go. We're a
Absolutely.
perfect example.
No, I'm excited for what you're doing, and I think, you know, it's probably going to blow up, and you'll love it. And, you know, I'm here to support you. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to do this again.
Very good.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for joining me today on You Are the Magic Pill. My hope is that you leave this podcast feeling better about yourself, inspired, activated, and ready to swallow your fears to realize your dreams. I would be honored if you would leave me a 5-star review over in iTunes. Each week I'll randomly choose one person to win some You Are the Magic Pill swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out to you if you're the winner. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today. Be sure to pop over to youarethemagicpill.com for past episodes and more gifts to help you wake up and realize that you are the magic pill, and you can change it all to have it all.